Coach Mangini doesn't waste time pointing fingers. He goes straight for the heart of the Browns' dysfunction: fear. Not fear of opponents or tough calls, but a deeper, more corrosive kind: fear of being wrong. It's what drives the Cleveland front office to second-guess their own scouts, to stall on decisions that should be obvious, and most damningly to sideline Shedeur Sanders.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Mangini frames it not as a football issue but a psychological one, where every move is filtered through the anxiety of losing control. The result? An organization paralyzed, projecting calm to the public while unraveling behind closed doors. The consequences of this paralysis are visible in every delayed press conference, every vague statement about development, and every moment Sanders isn't leading the offense. What Mangini exposes is more than just poor management. It's a crisis of identity at the leadership level. The Browns have a rare quarterback with poise, accuracy, and natural command, and yet they're letting internal anxiety stall progress. It's not just a missed opportunity, it's a warning sign that fear is running the franchise more than football sense. The Cleveland Browns have been called a lot of things over the years: cursed, dysfunctional, confused. But now, thanks to Coach Eric Mangini, they're being labeled as something even more damning: blind to talent and ruled by fear. And the target of this outrage? Their handling, or more accurately their mishandling, of Shedeur Sanders. Mangini didn't just throw shade. He lit the whole building on fire. This wasn't your standard sports commentary. This was a full-throttle demolition job on the Browns' front office, calling out their internal chaos, their blatant disrespect of a game-ready quarterback, and the ridiculous PR spin they're hiding behind. And the thing is, he's not wrong. At the heart of all this drama is Shedeur Sanders. He's calm, accurate, a natural leader, and everything you'd want in a franchise quarterback. But instead of building around him, the Browns are out here treating him like an afterthought. He's not the backup plan. He's the only plan. And yet, the front office is stuck in its own mess, too scared to make a bold move and too obsessed with image control to recognize what's right in front of them. Let's be clear. This isn't about whether Sanders could be good. It's about the fact that he already is. The guy is polished. He's focused. He has it. And still, the Browns are fumbling around like they're trying to decode hieroglyphics instead of doing the obvious: hand the ball to the future. So why the delay? Why the hesitation? According to Mangini, it's all rooted in fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of giving up control. Fear of losing the narrative. This isn't a football strategy problem. It's an identity crisis. You've got executives making decisions like they're protecting their egos, not the future of the team. Mangini's critique cuts deep because it highlights what everyone's been thinking. The Browns aren't disorganized, they're paralyzed. Every delay, every mixed signal, every vague press conference isn't about developing talent. It's about avoiding accountability. And while they stall, the damage is stacking up. Fans aren't buying the excuses. Media analysts are connecting the dots. And behind closed doors, there's clear tension between ownership and the front office. We're talking serious internal dysfunction. Rumors of power struggles, competing agendas, and even possible collusion during the draft process? Yeah, it's getting messy. From the outside looking in, it's obvious. This franchise is running like a bad group project. No leadership. No direction. Just chaos disguised as caution. Meanwhile, Shedeur is sitting there watching the team spiral into indecision, while everyone outside the building sees what the Browns refuse to acknowledge. The kid is ready. He's composed under pressure. He leads with clarity. And still he's being treated like a maybe. Mangini put it bluntly: the Browns are throwing away their shot at a once-in-a-generation quarterback because they're too caught up in optics and control. That's not just short-sighted. It's reckless. And the worst part? This isn't new for Cleveland. The team has a history of misreading the moment. Wasting talent. Leaning into confusion when clarity was begging to be noticed. And now they're on the verge of doing it all over again. The Browns front office keeps trotting out these well-rehearsed sound bites, talking about culture and development and long-term planning. But Mangini's not buying it. And honestly, no one else is either. Because when you strip away the corporate buzzwords, what you're left with is a team that's just scared. Scared to commit. Scared to admit they might have gotten it wrong before. Scared to let go of control and trust the talent that's staring them in the face. And it's that fear that's driving everything right now. Not strategy. Not leadership. Just fear. That's what makes this situation so infuriating. The Browns have a quarterback who could redefine the franchise, bring leadership, vision, and actual results. But instead of riding that momentum, they're locked in a bizarre game of self-sabotage, clinging to narratives that don't hold up under the slightest scrutiny. Mangini didn't hold back. He called out the Browns for treating their own fans like they're too naive to see what's going on, for pretending they've got it all figured out when the reality looks more like a boardroom civil war than a football strategy session. There's no trust, no unity, just a power struggle that's trickling down into every layer of the organization. And Shedeur? He's caught in the crossfire. He should be the centerpiece, the headline. Instead, he's being buried in the footnotes of a franchise that can't seem to get out of its own way. It's not about whether he'll succeed eventually. It's about how much time, and how many chances, the Browns are willing to waste before giving him the shot he already deserves. Mangini painted a picture that's hard to ignore. A franchise more concerned with who's in charge than with what's best for the team. A front office that's more comfortable with control than with taking a risk that, let's be honest, isn't even that risky. The talent is there. The leadership is there. The potential is right there. And still they're hesitating. You'd think a team with Cleveland's history would have learned by now that waiting doesn't fix anything. But here we are. And the clock's ticking. Because the longer the Browns drag this out, the more they open themselves up to ridicule. From the fans. From the media. From everyone who can see this slow-motion train wreck playing out in real time. There's only so long you can keep pretending that this is all part of the plan. Eventually the truth catches up. And when it does, it won't be Shedeur's reputation on the line. It'll be theirs. Every day they stall is another headline they can't control. Another moment they can't spin. Another opportunity slipping through their fingers because someone at the top of the food chain is too stubborn, or too scared, to pull the trigger. It's not a mystery. It's not complicated. It's just cowardice wrapped in corporate nonsense. The Browns have a gift in their hands. But instead of celebrating it, they're dissecting it, second-guessing it, and delaying the inevitable. And if they keep this up, they'll lose more than just a season. They'll lose trust, momentum, and possibly the player who could have rewritten the entire story. This isn't just about a draft pick. It's about how an entire franchise continues to trip over its own ego. If they're not careful, this won't just be another mistake. It'll be the mistake that defines them for years. So what do you think? Are the Browns just biding their time, or is this another disaster in slow motion? Is Shedeur Sanders getting the respect he deserves, or is he being buried under layers of bad management and worse excuses? Let me know in the comments. If you're tired of the chaos and want to keep calling out these franchise fumbles with us, don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button. More drama, more breakdowns, and definitely more accountability. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Alright, let's keep digging into this disaster because what's happening in Cleveland is more than just bad football. It's a case study in how fear and ego can burn down everything a franchise claims to be building. Let's talk about what it means when a team like the Browns, already infamous for quarterback misfires, gets a player like Shedeur Sanders and still can't make up their mind. This is not just indecision. This is paralysis from the top down. And Mangini wasn't subtle about it. He basically peeled back the curtain and said, hey, this isn't just poor leadership. This is theater. Because the Browns want you to think they're being careful, measured, deliberate. But if you look even a little closer, it's obvious. It's damage control. See, when an organization is truly confident in its direction, you feel it. There's a plan, a purpose, a sense that even if there's a bit of chaos, someone at the wheel actually knows where they're going. But in Cleveland, the signals are crossed. The messages are jumbled. You've got scouts saying one thing, coaches saying another, and the front office doing press interviews like they're auditioning for a reality show. That's not strategy. That's scrambling. And when Mangini called it out, he didn't do it with vague illusions or passive shade. He hit the Browns where it hurts. Credibility. He said what fans have been thinking for months. That this isn't a talent problem. It's a trust problem. Within the organization. With the media. With the fans. Because how can you believe in a direction that changes every time the wind blows? Let's get specific here. You have a quarterback who walks into the building more prepared than half the league's starters. He's disciplined. He knows how to lead. He doesn't crack under pressure. He's got accuracy, composure, and the mindset you build a team around. Not flashy hype, real poise. And yet, the Browns are acting like they're still in some early evaluation phase, tiptoeing around the obvious answer like it's radioactive. Why? Because admitting Shedeur is the guy means admitting some other decisions weren't so great. And in this front office, self-reflection doesn't exactly seem like a core strength. Let's not forget, this team has a reputation for picking projects over production. for loving potential more than results. So when a guy like Sanders walks in already looking like a solution, that throws the whole house of cards into question. They can't hide behind, he needs time to develop. He's already developed. They can't pretend he doesn't have the locker room. He does. And they really can't pretend fans are too dumb to notice. So they're left with spin, talking points, empty phrases like quarterback competition and trusting the process, when it's clear there's no real process at all. And while they stall, the pressure builds. Because here's the thing about NFL franchises, they don't get infinite windows to fix things. You either move now or risk watching your opportunity slip away. That's exactly what Mangini was warning about. That this isn't just a bad call, it's the kind of misstep that echoes. A mistake that stains your reputation and scars your future. And what makes it worse is the sense that some of this is about power, not football. Word is the owner and GM aren't even aligned. There are whispers of internal tug-of-wars, ego clashes, backroom politics that have nothing to do with winning games. That's not just dysfunctional, it's dangerous. Because when the people at the top are more worried about protecting turf than building a team, no amount of talent can fix that. So yeah, maybe the reason Shedeur Sanders isn't starting has less to do with football, and more to do with who gets to take credit. Or worse, who's afraid of being proven wrong. Let's be blunt, the longer they wait, the worse it gets. You've got a fan base that's done being patient. Media outlets tearing apart the play-by-play of every front office comment. And a quarterback who has handled this whole circus with more professionalism than the people supposedly running the show. And still they hesitate. It's not just baffling, it's insulting. To the fans, to the sport, to Sanders himself. He's sitting there with every quality you want in a leader. Meanwhile, the people in charge are too busy covering their backs to lead anything at all. You know what this feels like? A team more afraid of headlines than losses. Like they'd rather lose in a controlled way than take a risk that might actually work. That's not leadership. That's cowardice wrapped in PR. And let's talk about the fans for a second because they see through the nonsense. They're not fooled by press releases and Instagram posts about team culture. They've seen this pattern before. Talent walks in the door, management panics, and the moment passes. How many more times is this organization going to let fear dictate its future? Because let's be real, the league doesn't wait for anyone. Other teams are moving. Other quarterbacks are being given their shot. And if the Browns aren't careful, they'll wake up one day and realize they let their chance slip away, again. The excuses are running out. The "we're evaluating all options" phase has expired. The window to do the right thing is now. And the longer they drag this out, the more obvious it becomes that this isn't about football anymore. This is about control, an image, and protecting egos that should have been left at the door. So here we are. A quarterback with the tools, the mindset, the poise, and the presence to lead. A team paralyzed by fear, locked in some bizarre political power struggle. And a fan base watching it all unfold like a bad reality show they never asked to be cast in. You couldn't write a more ridiculous script if you tried. But this isn't fiction. This is the Cleveland Browns, once again proving that dysfunction isn't just a phase, it's their brand. And if they don't course correct soon, the consequences won't just be lost games. It'll be lost faith, lost opportunity, and the bitter knowledge that they had everything they needed, and let it rot on the bench. So what happens next? Does the front office finally wake up and give the reins to the quarterback who's earned it? Or do they keep playing this bizarre game of strategic limbo until it's too late? One thing's for sure, the clock is ticking. And if Cleveland drops the ball again, there won't be anyone left to blame but themselves. The Browns aren't just flirting with disaster, they're planning a second date, ordering wine, and calling it a strategic rebuild. But no one's buying it. Not Coach Mangini. Not the fans. And definitely not the players in that locker room who know exactly what's happening. There's a specific kind of tension that builds when a team knows the guy sitting on the bench should be under center. You can feel it. The locker room gets quieter. Guys start giving weird answers in interviews. And even if no one says it out loud, the energy shifts. That's where the Browns are right now. And it's not because Shedeur Sanders might be the better quarterback. It's because he already is. And everyone knows it. He's not just more talented, he's more ready. He's composed in the pocket, confident in meetings, and has that leadership presence that makes other players listen. This is the kind of player franchises pray for. The guy who walks in already acting like he owns the room. That's not arrogance, it's control. It's what leaders do. But instead of harnessing that, the Browns are treating him like a draft day mystery. A developmental piece. As if they didn't see what the rest of the country saw. Shedeur showing out week after week, making decisions faster than coordinators could blink, delivering dimes under pressure and never once looking rattled. But because his name isn't part of their plan, he's left to wait. Let's talk about that plan for a second. Because if you believe what the front office is selling, there is a plan. A long-term vision. A thoughtful, balanced approach to building a team. But from where Coach Mangini and a lot of fans are sitting, that plan looks a whole lot like stalling. A lot of press releases. A lot of vague talk about team culture. And not a lot of action. Because real leadership? That's not about controlling the narrative. It's about making the tough call, owning it, and building around it. If Shedeur is the guy and it's clear he is, then start him. Build the offense around him. Send the message that you're done playing scared. But instead, the Browns are fumbling through some weird charade of evaluation mode, as if they don't already have enough tape, enough data, enough locker room chatter to make this decision a no-brainer. And let's be real, it is a no-brainer. Unless, of course, the real problem isn't about football. Unless it's about who gets credit. Who has final say? Who's willing to admit they made a mistake last season? Mangini hinted at all of it, the power struggles, the collusion, the misalignment at the top. That's the kind of dysfunction that doesn't just hold back one player, it infects the entire franchise. You can feel it in the way decisions are made. Slowly. Awkwardly. Without conviction. You can hear it in the interviews where coaches and executives are clearly walking on eggshells, trying not to step on the landmine of truth. That the only reason Shedeur isn't starting is because someone upstairs doesn't want him to. And not because he's not ready. Not because he's not the best option. But because it would mean admitting someone else was wrong. That's the tragedy here. That talent this undeniable, this rare, could be sacrificed on the altar of internal politics. That Shedeur could be benched not because of performance but because of perception. Meanwhile, the team on the field suffers. The fans keep asking the same question. What are we doing? And the rest of the league watches with that familiar mix of pity and amusement. Because this isn't new. This is just Cleveland being Cleveland. Think about how many times we've seen this play out. The Browns bring in talent. They fumble the development. They overthink. They implode. Rinse. Repeat. But this time? It's worse. Because this time they know what they have. There's no ambiguity. No guesswork. Just a refusal to act. And let's be real about something else too. This situation doesn't just affect Shedeur. It affects the whole team. Wide receivers want chemistry with their quarterback. Linemen want someone who can get the ball out and keep them from getting blindsided. The defense wants to know the offense can hold its own. Everyone's watching. And the longer this drags on, the more it erodes confidence, not just in leadership but in the very identity of the team. Because what kind of message does it send when the best player on your roster is being treated like a third-string experiment? This isn't about easing a rookie in. This isn't about protecting him. It's about protecting themselves. It's about avoiding backlash if things go wrong. But guess what? Things are already going wrong. Every week Shedeur doesn't start is a week the Browns fall behind. Not just in standings but in momentum. In chemistry. In trust. There's a point in every franchise timeline where you either make the bold call, or you fade into irrelevance. And this is that point. Mangini saw it. The fans see it. The league sees it. And if the Browns keep pretending this is all part of some genius 4D chess plan, they're going to find themselves right back where they've been so many times before. At the bottom, watching everyone else move on. So let's call this what it is. A leadership failure. A fear-based, ego-driven, painfully public miscalculation. It's the kind of thing that will be dissected for years if it doesn't turn around. Where did it go wrong for Cleveland this time? What could have been if they had just trusted the talent? Why did they let their own insecurities drown out the obvious? Those are the questions that'll hang over this team if they don't act. Because Shedeur Sanders is not going to sit forever. Whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, his time is coming. You can't keep that kind of skill sidelined indefinitely. Eventually, someone will get out of their own way and let him lead. The question is, will it be the Browns? Or will they once again let ego outweigh evidence, PR outweigh performance, and fear outweigh football? At some point, there's no one left to blame. Not the players. Not the media. Just the people in charge who couldn't pull the trigger. The fans deserve better. The roster deserves better. And Shedeur? He's already earned better. So to the Browns front office, this is your window. It won't be open forever. Get it together. Or get out of the way. What we're watching unfold in Cleveland is the slow erosion of what could have been a defining moment. A clean slate. A new chapter. Shedeur Sanders was that moment. Still is. A quarterback with charisma, poise, and a football IQ that's miles beyond what this team has been working with for years. And the Browns? They're treating it like a PR liability instead of a golden opportunity. This isn't a situation where you have two evenly matched QBs and it's a toss-up. This isn't, let's let the vet ride it out, or he needs a year to learn the system. No. This is blatant avoidance. It's institutional fear dressing up as patience. Mangini said it best, they're making decisions like a dysfunctional group project. Everyone wants input, no one wants responsibility, and the final product is a jumbled mess that gets turned in late and full of excuses. That kind of indecision trickles down. And now, it's bleeding into the locker room, infecting morale, planting seeds of doubt in guys who've been fighting to believe that this season could be different. You want to know how to lose a team before week 1? Keep playing politics with your most important position. Keep treating a generational quarterback like a media time bomb instead of the franchise cornerstone he is. It's not just mismanagement, it's sabotage. And you know what's coming next. You can feel it. The media pressure's mounting. The fans are restless. And at some point, someone's going to leak something, an anonymous quote, a frustrated player's comment off the record. And then the narrative the Browns have worked so hard to spin will completely unravel. They're balancing on a wire right now, and they don't even realize how close they are to falling. Here's the part that hurts the most. This didn't have to be difficult. They didn't have to make it messy. They had the answer. From day one. A quarterback with the right attitude, the right tools, and the respect of the locker room. A city ready to believe again. And they're wasting it. There's still time. Not much. But enough. Enough to make the right choice, cut through the noise, and finally show some conviction. Because if they don't, if they keep dragging their feet, protecting egos and clinging to a broken process, then they won't just lose games. They'll lose the moment. And in the NFL, you don't get many of those. So if you're done watching this slow-motion implosion, sound off in the comments. Let it rip. Because fans like you see the truth. You know what time it is. Like the video, share it with every Browns fan you know, and hit subscribe. Because this drama? It's only just getting started.